doesn't really matter. That's why I don't really read into it too much. As long as Saw 10 did a good job of making us believe when it took place, that's when it took place.
Right.
You know, because some movies don't do a good job of, they'll just say it's a prequel and then this happens and, you know, whatever. But this one, you can actually say, oh yeah, well, you know, John was, you know.
This movie had heart.
Yeah, it did. And it had a good story to it. And you know, usually people complain about movies that take the villain and make them more of a hero type of deal.
Yeah.
But I think that the core of Jigsaw has always been to teach people a moral lesson. Now, the lesson is teaching people a moral lesson is cool, but it's one of those things where, like, okay, what gives you the right to tell people that they need a lesson to be taught? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he plays like, in like wrestling terms, he's a tweener. You know, he's not really bad. But
I would say an anti-hero.
He's not really bad, but I mean, he's not good either. I mean, you might be killing shitty people, but they're still people type of deal. So.
Yeah, but I think that's where the decision is yours to choose.
Yeah, but then again, when you do that, you compare yourself to God.
How so?
Well, it's not your right to tell somebody, to give them a choice whether they're going to live or die. They have a right to live their life however they want to. Okay. And it doesn't matter what the fuck you think. However, us sitting here as an audience watching that movie, we're more than likely going to be on the side of Jigsaw because those people are horrible people. But there's horrible people in the real world that we would love to take them and shake them and say, look what the fuck you're doing. But we can't do that. Yeah. And if we do that, we'll go to jail and we'll look at his, you know. So in a way, Jigsaw doesn't really have the right. Like, just because you've went through some shit doesn't mean that you have the right to tell somebody else that they have a choice. No, that's not how the real world works. That's why he's still a villain.
Look at you being all smart and shit.
Jigsaw is no different than the Joker or any other comic book hero. Comic book villain, because every comic book villain is based in some type of, okay, yeah, I get why he's doing what he's doing, but he's still doing it wrong.
Okay. I like it. You got a valid point.
But Saw X did a really good job of still keeping him the villain, but showing us other people that are maybe even worse than him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
so
she was a fucking like nightmare.
Right. So I think that's, like, you used the word anti-hero for this specific movie. I think that is the perfect word for it, because we actually run into people that are worser than what Jigsaw's doing.
Yeah, worse than him.
So I think, and if that's the direction that they want to go with, where we see people even worser than him, you know, but still keep that, like, look, he's not necessarily all bad, but he's still bad type of vibe to it. I think that they could make several more Saw movies like that.
Yeah, I could dig it. I mean, obviously I dug Saw 10. If you saw our review, listen to our review. But yeah, it's great. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I feel a little bit like it's a cash grab, and I think it is to a certain extent because of how good it did in the box office. It was like one of the highest grossing horror movies of last year, and rightfully so, but it was done with love and respect, and I hope that's what they pour into Saw 11 also, and I hope it's just not a cash grab.
Yep.
But I don't know if but The Blackening is getting a sequel. I didn't get a chance to check it out last year.
I didn't either. We talked about watching it, and we actually tried to watch it several times on some streaming that might have not been legal,
and it did not work.
It did not work, so we actually did not commit a crime here.
No.
Anyway, The Blackening is, I guess, in the same vein as, comedy horror.
I think that's what it is. I don't. From what I could tell, it was comedy horror, but. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we can check it out before The Blackening 2 comes out. But speaking of coming out, going out, David Gordon Green has exited The Exorcist Deceiver, which Deceiver should have been the title of the one that came out last year because that was a deceiving piece of shit. But the movie has been officially taken off of the release date list and shelved.
Yeah, honestly, this doesn't surprise me. Every time that we've talked about The Exorcist Believer, me and you have always stuck to what we thought about the film.
Yes,
which
I have
is
not changed.
You hate it, and I don't necessarily like it, but I hate it less than you, and that's pretty much how it is. However, I didn't like it enough to where I'm chopping at the bits to get the sequel. I honestly, I don't. It's just like if they make it cool, I'll watch it, whatever. But if they don't, I'm not sad about it, but I'm not surprised because David Gordon Green, we saw this coming with Halloween Ends. The way he did Halloween Ends and separated the fan base and pissed off a lot of people. And then his very next project was taking another series that is huge in the horror community and, running his dick beaters on it.
Yeah, I am glad that he is not doing this anymore. I did not want to see Deceiver. I don't want to see a trilogy of this. I wish I could unsee Believer.
Yeah.
It's just fucking disappointing, honestly.
It really is disappointing because I think one of the biggest disappointments in it is the fact that the cast that he had was a good cast. Is just the writing and the way it was went about it. You have a good cast with a shitty script is what you have, and they did the best they could. They played the characters that they were understood that they were playing, and I don't blame them too much. I blame the writers. I blame the director, and they should have known better. They should have known better. You can't casually take a piece of property like Halloween or Exorcist and casually make an okay movie. If you remake these movies, if you make sequels to these movies, it has to be a big deal, and you have to realize what you have in the palm of your hands. You don't have a movie that you go, well, it might succeed or it might not. No, you have a franchise in your hands, which means you're under a microscope. And if you fuck up, you're going to be chastised about it. And David Gordon Green fucked up with Halloween Ends. And he, unlike the Halloween series where he started off good and then gradually got worse, he started off fucking awful with The Exorcist. And that's even worse.
Yeah, I hated Exorcist Believer.
Just so many other different directions he could have went in.
Yeah, I know. And he went in the most, like, I don't know if he was trying to be fucking off the wall and something you wouldn't expect, and then went so fucking just.
I don't see how you can have two young girls being possessed by a demon and like it'd be like less interesting than one girl being possessed.
I know. Well, he fucked it up because you couldn't get behind both families. That's why.
Well, he fucked it up because he the way it was presented was you can only get behind one family.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you had two families, and you would have been even more into it if you were behind both families. You would have been invested in both of the girls.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, he made he made the father and the daughter up front, first and foremost, and the other family, he made them look like tools and like they were background characters to where they didn't even matter. So when you see these two girls, one of them, one possession seems more important than the other for some reason.
Yeah, the more I think about this movie, the more aggravated I get. Like, it's like I start stuttering because it's so fucking just aggravating because it was right there. It was there for the taking.
Boo. What's some other news? Let's move on from this negativity.
I know we sit here and I feel like we've talked about Exorcist so goddamn much. But the big news that we need to talk about before we get into our surprise is Scream. The drama with Scream 7. So first off, Melissa Barrera got fired because of her social media post, which happened over the holidays, and we really didn't talk about that.
Yeah, she sent out some tweets about her heritage, and some people didn't like that.
I mean,
it's about this whole Pakistan Jewish feud going on in over there, and she sent out a tweet which got her in trouble with the studios, and the studios basically fired her from the project. Now, here's my perspective on that. I think that her social media and her own personal social media stuff should be just that, personal, and I don't think that should affect your job in any way, shape, or form if you have an opinion. Plus, if you read what she said, she stood up for whatever she is. She didn't like bash the other side. She just stood up for her side, which is, I don't think that should get you banned from a project, especially when the project is a fucking slasher movie in Hollywood.
Well, my question that I can't seem to find an answer for is, you know how, like, when you sign a contract with a movie or production or just anything, it's they have clauses in it and everything like that.
Right.
I wonder if in her contract it says something like, while under contract with us, you can't say, you got to watch what you say or watch who you talk to. You got to. I know it's like stuff you can't leak information about the movie and the script and stuff like that. But I wonder if it covers like social media stuff, and I wonder if like she broke that.
Maybe, and if that's the case, if it's in her contract and she did break it, that's on her.
Right.
However, we live in a society where you get canceled
for saying the wrong things.
If you're not on the majority side of the agenda, you get canceled and you get fired, which takes out the individuality of being an individual. And at the same time, it would be different if she did not have a background or whatever she is related to this. If it was just some white woman or some white guy who made an off the wall comment, then okay, but this is actually affecting her. You know what I mean? or she might have family member that is affecting. And